Danny, what is the object of your visit to Mexico?
Well, I was invited by Karen Ayesod, so it is an honor for me to speak for Karen Ayesod in Mexico and revisit the Jewish community, which I appreciate so much from my previous visit in Mexico. And it is important to emphasize that Karen Ayesod is really strengthening relations between the Jewish community and Israel, and as a consequence, between Mexico and Israel. Both very important countries and with the same challenges of border protections and control, economic development and growth, and of course the challenge of the technology of tomorrow. So there are so many things of cooperation, and the Jewish community in Mexico, which is of course they are all very proud of their Mexican nationality, but also very proud of their Jewish heritage. And Karen Ayesod is working on strengthening this, and this is the reason I'm coming to Mexico. And at the same time, of course, it will be an opportunity to discuss the challenges, the global challenges, and in the Middle East and beyond, and of course Iran, the Palestinian question, U.S.-Israel relations, Mexican-Israel relations, and many, many other topics.
It will be wonderful to meet you again. What was your impression of your last visit to our country? Was Mexico supportive of your initiatives?
Well, my last visit there was about 2 years ago when I initiated the strategic dialogue between Israel and Mexico. At that time, I was hosted by Mexican Deputy Foreign Minister Lourdes, and of course we discussed about diplomatic cooperation, economic cooperation, energy cooperation, and I remember very fondly this visit. I also hosted Minister Lourdes here in Israel, so I believe that the relationship Mexico-Israel are on a very good track with very good potential.
Wonderful. Danny, do you think diaspora Jews are taking the necessary steps to support Israel? And what about Mexican Jews?
Well, I would say in general, yes. I think that there is understanding because of our long and I would say long history of trials and tribulations, of pogroms and of course the Holocaust, of discrimination and anti-Semitism. And because of our pride in our heritage and belief in our common destiny, there is a natural bond between Jewish diaspora and Israel. Understanding that the state of Israel belongs to all Jews in the world, and although everybody has a stake, all Jews have responsibility for the security of the state of Israel and for its well-being. Because if, God forbid, if Israel's security is compromised, Jewish security will be compromised all over the world. And there is, this responsibility is for everyone, but there is a division of labor. It's a different type of responsibility. The Jews in Israel are responsible for the defense of the country, for building and developing it economically, and for making the political decisions. And the Jews in the diasporas, their responsibility is to lend political support, advocacy for Israel, helping, with the Hasbara, with the diplomatic efforts. And in the past, it was also economically, but no more, because Israel now is economically very strong, so it's not so much economic. But it's important to keep the cultural ties, of course, and the most important challenge for Jewish diaspora, especially in the United States, is Jewish continuity, which can be achieved only through strengthening the Jewish identity, through Jewish education. In Mexico, I see a very, very committed Jewish community. First of all, very proud of its own heritage and history, and also very close to Israel, and believing in our common future together. In that respect, I think we also, here certainly in Israel, we very much appreciate the relations with Mexico and the government of Mexico, and how the government of Mexico and the people of Mexico also appreciate the Jewish community contribution to the Mexican interests and the Mexican development. But I would say that it is very important to remember the history, because history tends to repeat itself if we are not careful. And since the reestablishment of the State of Israel in 1948, there were no more pogroms in the world against Jews, because they know that the State of Israel and Jews worldwide are no longer going to let people hurt them. We are going to defend ourselves. The last pogrom was in 1946, 2 years before Israel was reestablished. Even after the Holocaust, there was still a pogrom in Poland, a place called Kielce. So it is obvious, and I think it's our responsibility of our generation, already now 3 generations after the Holocaust. The responsibility is to pass on and instill the education and the Jewish pride into the younger generation, so that they remember that the Jewish diaspora and Israel are one, with common history but also common future.
Wonderful. We learned that the Israeli government is launching a $1 billion campaign to bolster the Jewish identity in the diaspora, as announced by M.K. Bennett. What is so wrong about the diaspora so now Israel has to spend money on the diaspora and not the other way around?
Well, I think this is a natural process. In the beginning, the Jewish community in Israel was very, very weak and vulnerable. But also with the help of the diaspora today, Israel is the strongest country in the Middle East, not just militarily and strategically, but also economically and technologically. In fact, technologically and economically, we're one of the strongest in the world, not just in the Middle East. So definitely, now it's time for the Jewish Center in Israel, which actually has become the real spiritual and also main center for Judaism. After 2,000 years, we always had the center abroad, from the first exile in Babylon, and then the second exile, and of course in Europe, and then in the United States and other places. Today, there is no doubt that the strongest Jewish community, first of all in numbers, and now we have 6 million Jews in Israel, and we are more than in the United States. We are the largest Jewish community. So we are developed, so it is now our responsibility, I think, to help Jewish communities worldwide. And in that respect, I think it is important to allocate government funds, Israeli funds, for Jewish education and Jewish causes worldwide.
And we are happy in Enlace Judío to contribute to the Hasbara, and part of the Hasbara, I think you are doing, Danny, with your foundation, The Truth About Israel.
Yes. I decided to establish this non-profit organization, The Truth About Israel, as a result of the political and legal war against us. The Palestinians and other enemies and their other friends have waged a political warfare to delegitimize Israel. They couldn't win against us militarily. They couldn't win against us with boycotts economically and not with terrorism. So now the political warfare and the advocacy is the main battle. And unfortunately, the government of Israel could not do a good job because of lack of funds, because of bureaucracy. And it's important that the Hasbara will be done also by the civil society, not just by the government. And this is why I created this organization, which is very agile and very lean, so we can have rapid. Sometimes the government has not rapid response because of bureaucracy and constraints. So we are filling a big void here, and we are in the social media, because this is the media of the present and the future, especially. And since we have started, millions are watching our messages, and I believe we are going to make a difference.
Yes, we have been reproducing and publishing your videos, but we
Thank you. That's very important.
Yes, because it's also translated to Spanish. And whenever you need us to translate it and subtitle in Spanish, we also do that in Enlace Judío, so we would be happy to do it also.
Oh, this is very important. In fact, yes, we're doing it, of course, in English and in Hebrew, because we want to empower and motivate and educate Israelis, so Israelis can also do a better PR and Hasbara. And certainly we're looking to translate it to many other languages. First and foremost is Spanish. This is the most important language for us because of all the people in Latin America and, of course, in Spain. And, of course, we are also looking to translate it to many, many other languages, French, of course, and even Chinese and Japanese. So, yeah.
Yes, you know, our number one video in Enlace Judío that has thousands of views is the one about Shimon Peres, when he was with the comic program in Israel, 10 Things I Learned in 90 Years. And we subtitled, and it's our number one video in views.
That's beautiful.
It was with this program. I don't remember now the name of the comic program with Lior. There is a program, a funny program in the Israeli TV, and.
Okay.
And we translated, and it's our number one video in views. So it has a lot of rating.
Amazing. Well, that's wonderful.
Yes, wonderful. Yes. But we also see that the answer of the Palestinian that for your video, The Truth About Israel.
Oh yes,
is terrible.
Did you see my answer to their answer?
Yes, the rebuttal of yours is also wonderful. But what does this tell us about anti-Semitism on the web, and what can be done?
Yes, well, sure. Well, first of all, the anti-Semitism on the web today, of course, in principle, is no different than the historic classical anti-Semitism. But today it is promoted by the Palestinians and by also by radical and fanatic Muslim groups. And of course, what they try to do is they try to rewrite history as if the Jewish people never existed and there was no connection between the Jewish people and the land. This is why, with the Truth About Israel, one of the first videos I had was to talk about the connection of Israel to the land historically.
Yes.
And also the political and legal rights of Israel here. And that was a very successful one.
Yes.
That we initiated. And then the Palestinians had to react to it, of course, with some lies. But actually, the response of the Palestinians proved how successful our method and organization is, because for the first time, we are initiating, we are proacting, and not just reacting to the others. This time, they reacted to us.
And wonderful.
They did it in a way which was so blatantly wrong, which is so easy to prove historically that it was wrong, and in fact, it made me the opportunity to create a rebuttal to their response. So we had the last word, and it showed how much they're lying.
I think we should
so they helped us. Yes, so they helped us to actually establish again to people who do not know the connection, the historic connection between Israel and its lands, the Jewish land of Zion and Jerusalem.
Amazing. It was a very, very good. I even sent it to some Jews, I have to tell you, because some Jews are just confused about the whole thing. And we have also to convince them, but it's part of the problem and of our job. I think we should team up, and we should make a strong team around the world to hold a campaign, but a powerful international campaign, and to send the same message at the same time in many languages and to the most possible population and people. So all these facts.
And this is exactly what we're doing and what we will continue to do with the Truth About Israel. Absolutely.
So please count on us. Count on us to help you.
I will. So that would be a great opportunity again to meet again.
And maybe to make a strategy.
Jewish community.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And now talking about Ariel Sharon, who passed away on Saturday, I think some people, he was blamed for two mistakes, Sabra and Shatila, and the disengagement. What is your opinion about both?
Well, I think, you see, I had the real privilege of working with Ariel Sharon. First, I was his foreign policy advisor, so we worked very closely together. And then he appointed me to be Israel's ambassador in Washington, together with Shimon Peres. Shimon Peres was then the foreign minister. Ariel Sharon was the prime minister, and both of them asked me to be our ambassador in Washington. And I can say that Sharon was really a life figure, larger than life and historic figure. He may have been controversial, but this is because he was always decisive. He was always ready to take tough decisions, to stand by them, and to be responsible for them. He never was afraid of taking responsibility. And, with Sabra and Shatila, it was very unfortunate. He assumed ministerial responsibility, but what happened in Sabra and Shatila? There was a Maronite Lebanese killed Muslim Lebanese, and the Jews were blamed. Of course, we're very sorry about it, but he took the blame. But I think that that did not deter him to continue into politics, and then he became prime minister. I know the disengagement was also controversial, but he looked at it from a strategic point of view. He gave up Gaza, which he didn't feel was part of the land of Israel, and certainly not as important as Jerusalem or as Judea and Samaria. And by giving away Gaza, we gained recognition of the United States to the major settlement blocks in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria. And we got the commitment of President Bush for keeping Israel's deterrence capability, for keeping its qualitative military edge, and for keeping defensible borders. So when he looked at the total picture, he thought it was worthwhile, although it was very painful, of course, for everybody.
I see. What is, in your opinion, missing in the new Israeli leadership to achieve the greatness of the former leaders?
The what today?
What do you think is missing in the new Israeli leadership?
Yes. Well, I would like to see Israeli leadership which is more courageous, which has a compass. They have a vision. I see there is somewhat lack of vision and direction, and also somewhat lack of decision making. Whether it's economic issues, whether it's what to do with the natural gas that we found, everything has become, confused without a clear direction. I think our leaders today need a better vision, better direction, and for that, they need more courage and decisiveness.
Like, if you were the leader, what would you have done in the atomic situation with Iran?
Well, I think that what I would do now, since already there is an agreement, an interim agreement with Iran, now I would focus all the attention and the energy on the final agreement with Iran in June, 6 months from now.
Because yesterday it was signed.
Yes, now I think what Israel should do on the first thing is to work very strongly in back-channel diplomacy to make sure that the final agreement with Iran will not be as bad as the interim. The interim agreement that was agreed in Geneva is bad because it does not neutralize the Iranian nuclear capabilities. They only agreed to suspend them. And that's not enough. They suspend them, they lift some of the sanctions. This is not a good agreement because the potential is still there. So I would now make sure that the international community, especially the United States and the Europeans, know that we will not accept this final agreement. I would also make sure that Israel can always keep all the options open, including the military option. And I believe that a military option can and will be avoided with a good final agreement in June. I think that should be Israel's policy and Israel's negotiation tactic with the world leaders.
And Danny, if you were the leader of Israel, what would you do with the Palestinian peace talks?
Well, with the Palestinian people, I would tell them very honestly and very straight. We cannot reach an agreement, a final agreement now, because the gaps are too big between us and the Palestinians, unfortunately. Because the Palestinians are not ready for peace. They're still teaching their kids at school to hate Israel, to hate Jews, and that Israel should not exist. Also, they have these problems between Hamas and Fatah, Gaza and Ramallah. So there is no chance for peace now. So I would tell them, let's at least go for some arrangements which will be good for you, the Palestinians, and good for us. That means a long-term interim, an interim solution whereby Israel gets security and the Palestinians get some kind of sovereignty and independence without their final borders. And of course, my position is we can never give up Jerusalem. The Temple Mount, Jerusalem is what guarded and kept the Jewish people as a people for 2,000 years. Now we have the duty to guard Jerusalem. If Israel has no sovereignty over the Temple Mount, then next generation will not stay here. Why should they stay here if we are not here because of Jerusalem? And this is what the Palestinians understand. And this is why they do not want or do not agree to Jewish sovereignty over the Temple Mount. So I'm saying if we cannot have them agree to it now, let's not agree. Let's go for an interim agreement on what we can agree without final borders, without the issue of Jerusalem, without the issue of refugees, of course, that Israel cannot accept any refugees. What they say, the right of return, is euphemism. It's wrong. There is no right and there is no return. There is no right because they were attacking us, and also because in history, all refugees of war never went back. They were absorbed, and they have no return because it's not them. The generation was already long gone. We're talking about third and fourth generation. And according to international law, refugee rights are only for the first generation. Children of refugees are not refugees, according to the international law. Only here they want to give and inherit refugee rights to the children, to the grandchildren, to the great-grandchildren. It's crazy. So we will never accept it. Since the Palestinians are not ready to change, to give up this demand of coming in return or Jerusalem or stopping the incitement, let's go for interim. This would be my idea, and I would tell it very honestly to the world, to the Palestinians, until there is a Palestinian leader which will think reasonably and believe that it's better to have a good solution than a perfect solution, and a compromise is a win-win situation for all.
Now, many people agree with you that the choice of Lieberman as a foreign policy minister was not very good.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, when I joined Mr. Lieberman, I thought that I could change him and help him. And indeed, I did help him. For the 4 years, I was the deputy foreign minister. Actually, I was the one conducting the foreign policy, and I was the face of Israel in Europe and in the United States, which was very, very helpful. But now, after his failure in the first term, when he could not go to Washington or to Europe and get any respect, I hope now he will learn from it and change somewhat.
Or maybe someone else can take the assignment.
Well, I suggested, and I suggested
maybe you can
to put right. Well, I don't want to talk about myself personally, but there are many who can do it. And what I suggested was that Lieberman will be the finance minister, and someone else will be the foreign minister. But for some reason, Lieberman very stubbornly wanted to only continue with the foreign minister. This is a mistake for him and for the country, but this is the political decision. We are a democracy, and I respect the decision of Bibi Netanyahu to keep him as foreign minister, and I, of course, will continue to help him in Israel with the truth about Israel, because Israel and the Jewish people are much bigger than any personality, than any minister. So we all have to work for the same cause. So I will continue and help Mr. Lieberman because of Israel, and I just hope that he learned his lesson and he will be more effective now.
Yes. Now the last question, because we have been abusing your time. What is the best success and the worst failures in PR for Israel, in your opinion?
Okay, well, I would say that the best success of Israel in PR is all the Nobel laureates, to the branding of Israel as a creative energy, as a country that is helping to the world. Israel has per capita the most Nobel prizes. We have 10 Nobel laureates in Israel. Israel was the first country to help humanitarian causes. When there was, if you remember, tsunami in Japan, we were very helpful. When there was earthquake in Haiti, we were very helpful, and we got a lot of recognition from all over the world. So this is the true Israel. Tikkun Olam, helping other countries, excelling in science and technology. This is the true Israel. The worst one is, of course, the fiasco of the Marmara, if you remember.
Yes.
The Marmara and the Goldstone report. This was a fiasco because we should have done a different operation that will not play into the hands of the terrorists. And we did not react fast enough.
I see. Now, the branding of Israel is one of your ideas. How would you...
Yes, of course. And also what we do with the truth about Israel is also branding Israel, showing the technological achievements, the cultural achievements, showing the history, and we have new programs that we're coming. One is called Archaeology Alive, where we show short videos of all the archaeological findings that prove 4,000 years of rich Jewish life here. And also we have something which is called Street Smart, to show how the names of streets in Israel are names of Jewish historical figures, from Abraham, the patriarch, all the way through Deborah, the prophet, King David, and until recent Zionist leaders. So also through the street names, you can understand the history and the culture and of Israel. And of course, we have names like peace, the road to peace. We have names like friendships. So it shows the values of Israel and the Jewish people, also through the Street Smart program as well, which is also branding Israel.
Wonderful. Well, Danny, I thank you so much for this interview. I hope we will continue it in Mexico. And
absolutely, I hope you will come to the event, and we can also meet for a personal interview as well.
Yes, I'm sure. I thank you so much. I will be looking forward for this. Thank you so much, we are waiting for you. We will be. It will be wonderful.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week, Danny. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.